Today we're going to take a look at the brand new Schedule 1 open beta release, which brings new locations to the world such as the Pawn Shop and the Blue Balls Boutique. And today we're also going to be discussing all of the known content that's coming to Schedule 1 later on, so let's get right into it. To enable the open beta, you need to go to Steam, right click on Schedule 1, scroll down to Properties, go to Betas, and under beta participation, make sure you have the beta enabled. Once you have the beta enabled, you can go over next to the post office here on the map and go straight into the boutique. Here you're going to be able to speak with Herbert and purchase various items like signs, wall mounted shelves, safes, lights, different types of liquor that you can display, jewelry such as watches. You can get a grandfather clock to help you tell the time. You can even purchase gold bars, artwork, and a golden tulip. Next, if you want to visit the pawn shop, it's right beside of the motel, so you can open the doors here and talk to Mick. So at the pawn shop, you can only sell legal items. So here, if we use the skateboard, you can see there's a barter system. So over here, there's a mini game where you have Mick's temper, and you can try to get more or less out of him here. If you make him mad enough, he'll sometimes punch you, he'll lock you inside, so you can beat the shit out of him. Sometimes he'll just tell you to get away. What are you looking at over here, buddy? And that's what we got in this open beta, so let me know in the comments below what you think. Now let's go ahead and move into the Schedule 1 roadmap, which we're going to talk about some potential future updates and content being added to the game. I'll also leave a link in the description to the roadmap if you want to take a look at it yourself. And just keep in mind that some of the features that I talk about might not come to the game. This is just a roadmap and a Trello board, and these are all just the developers' ideas. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the first potential update, and that would be graffiti. So this would give you a random amount of XP and allow you to draw on a blank wall if you had a graffiti can. I think this would be really neat if you could somehow customize like your own graffiti, because if you look around the map, there's already so many different artworks and graffiti on some of the buildings, and being able to add to your own world with some of your own custom artwork I think would be really neat. And I think this would be a great idea to add in with the Steam Workshop. If the developer was to add in the Steam Workshop, this would allow you to have like custom graffitis from other people in the community, and I think it would be a really cool update. Next, we might be getting fishing. It says here that you should be able to sell the fish to Randy. You'll also have the ability to catch random mixing ingredients or items like a gold bar. I think this would be really neat because it would kind of take you away from always having to min-max your setups or having to manage your employees. You could just take a day and go fishing instead. Another feature I've seen listed on the Trello board that I would like to have added is the idea of adding a property heat system. So essentially, if your property gets too much heat, you could end up dealing with raids like the cops actually showing up to bust you at your own property, and it could really mix things up and add a whole new layer of tension to the game, especially since the cops in this game really aren't a big threat. Once you learn how to get around them, you can literally just fist fight them all to death and then go and do your deals at night. It's really not that big of a deal. So I think that adding this layer of tension or something to mix the game up and make it a little less monotonous over time would be a really great addition. However, I could see this being a little annoying, so I would like the option to toggle this on or off, or maybe adjust the probability of this happening. That way it's more customizable, so if somebody is just starting out and they don't want to have to deal with all this new layer of complexity, they could simply just turn it off. But I think that it's a really great feature. Next, I feel like this is probably already be working on, but the developer has talked about more property customization options. So with this beta release, we've seen some things like wall decorations, but he's even talked about things like being able to paint the exterior of your house, being able to customize the exterior for better privacy and security, which would even add more depth into the whole raid system that we was just talking about. I think it would be really nice to just be able to customize everything, like your own wallpaper for each room, the flooring, what kind of lighting that you want, which we're already seeing that kind of be added into the game. I think with the exterior of the house, you could put up like different types of you know, like shutters or shades or anything like that to kind of keep the heat down. Like maybe even add in bushes to the front of your property so that you can't see in from the road. Just things like that I think would really add in some depth to the game. Next, we can't forget about additional drugs being added into the game. So currently we have weed, meth, and cocaine. The developer plans on adding in shrooms, MDMA, and heroin. So far, that's all he has in the list. And I think this would be really great because right now it feels like you're stuck on weed for a really long time, and then you unlock the meth, and then you're really stuck on the meth for a very long time. Then you finally get the cocaine, and by the time that you get the cocaine, you're making so much money at that point that you pretty much have everything in the game. So personally, if I was the developer, I would make this change the progression of the game. So first you would start off with weed, and then you would unlock shrooms, then MDMA, then cocaine, and then heroin. And I think that would just help the progression of the game and make there feel like there's a lot more content. Next, we might be getting some additional content about the cartel. So if you remember in the beginning of the game, once the RV blows up, you basically get a note telling you to skip out of town, that there's a rival gang there. But it seems like once you get the motel room, the threat's just completely gone and you're free to just have your drug empire the rest of the game. So I'm guessing this is going to be additional story content added to the game, which I very much welcome. And it says here that the cartel members should be able to ambush you, attack your properties, interrupt your sales, and then even have the ability for you to be able to jump cartel meetings and steal their supplies. And like I was saying earlier with the property heat level and cop raids, I really want this game to feel a little bit more tense. So I think having this as an option to enable would be great. But like I was speaking about with the police raids and the property heat level, I think you should be able to enable or disable this feature from the in-game settings. And finally, it's time to talk about map expansion. So the developer plans on making a southwest and northeast map expansion. Personally, I think the map is big enough as it is already. I would just focus on what the developer's already doing since he added in the pawn shop and the boutique. Just add in more interactable areas inside of the map as it is right now, but I could always welcome a map expansion, especially if it brings in like a different vibe than some of the areas that we already have. And we can't forget about some of these smaller additions and improvements like plastic surgery, which would allow you to edit your appearance, which you currently cannot do once you create your character. There's also plans to add in-game voice chat and controller support. Also, if you've ever noticed the wheelchair in the skate park, I thought I would be able to ride this. Apparently that's going to be a future feature. You can ride the wheelchair. And we would be getting things like backpacks, fanny packs, and duffel bags, which would be great if you mostly get around on your skateboard like myself. And that's going to be it. So that's what's new with the open beta release, as well as future content that could be showing up in Schedule 1. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's been Exilent, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.